Welcome to our Palm Sunday celebration. And I've got my palm cross on my palm. I'm afraid that's the closest we're going to come to giving palm crosses out today. But three notices before we start. First notice, very exciting, we have an Easter Gardens competition. And the winning prize, there are three prizes, but the winning prize is this enormous Easter egg. All you have to do is make an Easter garden, and it can be any size. You need to take a photograph of it and send it in. The details about what you do are on Facebook or on our website. You need to remember to put your contact details with it, and then we'll adjudicate. Now, the deadline is the close of play Good Friday, midnight Good Friday, and then we'll adjudicate on Holy Saturday and put the winner and the runners up on our website. Second notice, we'd love to have some help for some of our seniors. So if anyone would like to volunteer to help, do a bit of shopping, all those sorts of things, that'd be lovely. And third notice, we are thinking much more seriously now about helping run a food bank. So if you're interested in volunteering for that, do just let us know. Our reading is taken from Matthew 21. As they approached Jerusalem and came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives, Jesus sent two disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there and her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them, and he will send them right away." The disciples went and did just as Jesus had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and placed their cloaks on them for Jesus to sit on. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him and those that followed shouted, "Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest heaven!" When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, "Who is this?" The crowds answered, "This is Jesus, the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee." Have you ever been really scared? You know, I still vividly remember that hot, sultry day when I was in my headmaster's study with some friends and we were in big trouble, about to be punished, and I was terrified. I can remember the butterflies in my stomach as I was about to take some of the exams I've taken in my life. And I can vividly remember the raw panic when I was driving along the M6 and a rear tyre blew and we did a 180-degree spin across the carriageway and we saw the lorry in the lane beside us through our front windscreen. You know, those sorts of panicky, sudden fears can really strike us, can't they, for a moment? But there are other fears, anxieties, worries that just hang around, don't they? And there are a lot of those about at the moment. There's the whole worry about the coronavirus. Will we get the coronavirus? Do friends or loved ones, are they going to get it? Do they have it? What's going to happen to them? And then perhaps some of our mums and our dads are worried about jobs. Perhaps you're a mum or a dad and you're worried about your job. You're worried because maybe you don't have a job and you don't know where the next meal is going to come from. Or perhaps all the turmoil of the recent times has really taken us and knocked us for six, and we're worried about it. We're worried about being alone. We're not at school with our friends, or perhaps all those lovely clubs we go to in the village have just closed and we're just home alone with no one to talk to. You know, when I'm frightened and worried, it changes me. You know, I become snappy and uncommunicative, and I say things that I regret, or I even do things that I regret. Now, what's amazing about this passage that I just read is that Jesus was under the most incredible pressure. All the way through the Gospels, from about halfway onwards, he's been saying to his disciples, "I'm going to Jerusalem, and I'm going to be betrayed. handed over to my enemies and murdered. You know, Jesus knows what's going to happen to him when he rides into Jerusalem. He knows that the crowd that are cheering him, that are welcoming him as the coming king, that some of the people in that crowd are probably going to be in a similar crowd at the end of the week, shouting, "Crucify him." He knows all this, and yet he decides to ride into Jerusalem anyway. He does something that is just quite incredible. And I think it's really encapsulated by this trick box card from the local primary school. It's called the Big Yes card. I really love this one. On the back it says, "Could saying yes be good?" And you know, when Jesus rode into Jerusalem, he was saying a very, very big yes, not just to the crowds in Jerusalem, but to all of us everywhere, to you and to me. Yes, I'm riding into Jerusalem for you. Yes, I'm going to be handed over to my enemies and murdered for you. Yes, I'm going to rise again so that I can be with you. And yes, I will always be with you through thick and thin, whatever life throws at you. And yes, nothing is ever impossible when I'm around. You know, Jesus says a very, very big yes to us. And all he calls us to do is something so simple, is to say a much smaller yes back to him. And when we do that, something amazing happens. You know, our problems become his problems. And it's almost like we can hide our problems in him. We can let go of our worries and our fears in him. And we can even hide in him. You know, those hiding places in the houses that we used to use when we were very small children to hide away when we were scared. We can hide in Jesus. In fact, there's a verse in the New Testament that says this: your life is now hidden with Christ in God. Jesus can become our hiding place, and we can let go of all our fears. Now, we have a habit of trying to do this but not really succeeding. So I thought of a craft activity for all of us to do. Now, I made this. It's a really, really big cross. And it's a really simple cross. You can see it's made out of twigs. I put a bit of wire at the end and some ribbon over it. And I love this. We can't give out palm crosses, so let's make a cross. And you can make it out of anything. It's so easy to make a cross. But what I did with my cross, and I'm going to hang this somewhere in the house. But what I did is, you can see there are these little bits of paper. And if I take one of those pieces of paper out, oh golly, that ripped. If I take one of them out, there you go. That's got my daughter's name on it. And what I've done, because I worry about her, I look after her. She's one of the people I worry about. So I've written her name, and I've hidden her in the cross. And it's just a very simple way of giving Jesus our problems, giving him all our anxieties, giving him all our fears, and knowing his peace in our lives. A final blessing. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord turn his face towards you and give you his peace this day, every day, forever. Amen.